What's up, everybody? Welcome to Sea Lunch Sports here with Kennedy Curley and Hayden Klinkhammer. We got some more stuff that we're going to talk about from a continuation of yesterday. And so we are so glad to have anyone who's listening. So what we've got today, we want to talk a little bit about the Western Eastern Conference Finals. We got some interesting matchups going on with the Toronto Raptors and the Milwaukee Bucks, Giannis versus Kawhi Leonard. And in the West, we have a surprise team. Not really, they shouldn't be that big of a surprise. They were a 3 seed, but the Portland Trailblazers and the Golden State Warriors. And so it's been a very fun playoffs so far. And at the beginning, I know, Hayden, you and I started things off with a prediction at the beginning of the playoffs. And I think, correct me if I'm wrong, we both had the Bucks, Raptors, and Warriors going this far. But not the Trailblazers, correct?
Definitely not the Trailblazers,
Yeah. We both had the Thunder getting this far, which was dead wrong. But the other three were good picks. So at this point, it's kind of a new playoffs in its own. And so I think it would be appropriate if we just went ahead and did more predictions at this point. So, if you want to go ahead and I guess you can give your predictions all the way through the playoffs since we don't have a third person to kind of do what we normally do.
Okay. I'll go ahead and start with the West because I think that's going to be the shorter series of the two. Obviously, I've made a couple out there picks in terms of going against the Golden State Warriors. I thought Houston had a lot of chances. And again, James Harden can't win in the playoffs. But I have the Golden State Warriors winning 4-1.
Good.
And trying to complete their three-peat, which has not been done since the Kobe Shaq Lakers. So, I think Portland maybe steals one game. But then again, it depends also if Kevin Durant plays in this series at all. If Kevin Durant doesn't play in the series, I could see it going to 6, maybe 7. But if he comes back for the majority of it, like they're acting like he's going to, I think it's over in 5, 6 maybe at the most. Too much firepower. Like you said yesterday, Portland's kind of like a poor man's Golden State. They're known for shooting a lot of threes, very guard-oriented. But, And in the East is the fun one. Basically, it's Giannis and his supporting cast versus Kawhi Leonard and nobody else because he's literally had to carry them through the playoffs at this point. And I think the Bucks have too many other guys that can hurt you. I think Giannis can take advantage of Kawhi a little bit. And I think the X factor in the series is going to be how well Chris Middleton and Malcolm Brogdon shoot the ball.
Are you expecting Malcolm Brogdon to be back?
What?
I know that there were talks at the beginning of the playoffs of Malcolm Brogdon being back about this time. Is that still looking like it's true?
I think so. I think he's supposed to play. But I haven't done a whole lot of looking into it. I was just assuming that he was on pace to play. So I think if he rebounds nicely from his injury and he's kind of been able to take his time because, Toronto and Philly went to 7 and Milwaukee won in a gentleman's sweep. If Chris Middleton can shoot the ball well and Brook Lopez continues to shoot well, I think it goes 6 because I think Kawhi, has a couple games where he just isn't missing.
Yeah.
But ultimately, I think the Bucks are too much. So that comes to a Giannis versus Warriors finals.
Do we want to wait to talk about this one separately?
We can wait. We can wait.
I mean, like, I guess I could do my predictions, and then I'm just thinking about this now because I see that smile on your face.
Okay. Yeah. Go ahead.
I'll go ahead. I'll go ahead. I'm sorry to cut you off, but so I'll start in the West too. I'm going to go with the Warriors in 6, and I think so. The Warriors, as much as they came up clutch in the last series, mainly Steph Curry, of course. Klay Thompson started the game off hot too, but they still have had their fair share of games that they should have won that they didn't. They were clearly the better team than the Clippers, and they lost 2 games. After game, was it 2 that they lost? They blew a 31-point lead. I thought that there was no way that they were going to lose another game, and they did. Same with the Rockets. Going into the playoffs, I kind of thought that they were going to be a team that I thought that the Warriors were going to take the Rockets maybe in 5, maybe in 6, but I thought that it would be a pretty convincing series, and all of those games were close. And so the way that they ended that series, I think people are kind of assuming that they're back to being the Warriors, but I still have a hard time thinking that they're going to. I still think that they have some gaps in their game. Steph Curry, we saw him get injured in the later part of the game, and he played through it. I don't know how much that'll bother him this series or not. I know that he was talking after the game as he was limping about how he has until Tuesday to rest on that. So maybe it'll be better, maybe it won't. I don't know how big the injury is, but I know that you have that. Kevin Durant's out for, it was 7 to 10 days. I'm not exactly sure how many games he'll be out.
He's going to miss at least game 1, they said.
Yeah, so if he's out further than just game 1, I might give the Trailblazers one of the first 2 games. And even if he is in one of those games, I think I'd give them another one as well. So I'm going to play it. I'll continue the 6-game trend for the Warriors. I'm going to give them 6, but it could be a little. I think that the X factor here, and I don't know if it's really fair to say he's the X factor or not, because he's kind of a star. He's playing like a star. CJ McCollum, he's been playing. He was phenomenal. He pretty much carried Damian Lillard the last few games. No one talks about that.
I mean, that's why they won Game 7. Dame was awful.
He was going.
Yeah.
He was out of this world. He was doing great.
Yeah.
And I think that the way that he stepped up in these playoffs, I think that will lead to a game or 2. But that's enough said. I think that the Warriors have enough firepower still. And not, like I said yesterday, at the end of the day, the Trailblazers, as impressive as they have been, I think that they are a lesser version of the Warriors. And they have been for the past 5-6 years. They are guard oriented, as you said. They shoot a lot from the 3, mainly with. They kind of have their own Splash Brothers version, just not as good with Damian Lillard and CJ McCollum. However, like I said, CJ McCollum's been on fire, and Damian Lillard, he was doing really well in Series 1 too. So I mean, it doesn't matter. But at the end of the day, the Warriors are more experienced. I think they're more complete. Going with the Warriors in 6, and then on the East, I'm going to go with the Milwaukee Bucks in 7. I actually have more faith than probably most people do in the supporting cast of the Raptors. So I really like Marc Gasol. I think Serge Ibaka is solid, but then you put Siakam in there. I think that's a great 3-man rotation in the bigs department. Danny Green is a respected veteran who has experience in the playoffs, and I think obviously Kawhi Leonard is just playing phenomenally. He's probably been the best player in the playoffs this year so far. That said, though, I think that the Bucks being the home court team will have that advantage. 2, I think that Giannis has too much help. All those guys that I listed on the Raptors, Giannis has that plus a few more. So Brogdon's coming back. Brogdon, I've been high on him all year with his 50, 40, 90 numbers. And the fact that he can play defense. You've got Middleton, who was an all-star this year. No one talks about him. And I was adamant before the Celtics series that he's better than Jason Tatum is right now. Only right now. I think that Tatum will be better later, but I'm really high on both of those guys. And Brook Lopez, as you said, I didn't say much about him before, but I know that he's been able to stretch the court. And they just have a lot of good role players who can complete what Giannis can't do, which is consistently shoot. And so that team, to me, is the most complete team in the NBA when you talk about just every single skill set. The Warriors have more firepower, but I think the Bucks are more complete. And so I have the Bucks. I think I said in 7. I'll go with 7, and I've got the Warriors in 6. And so this is where we, this is where I guess we have a debate. Maybe, I don't know. What are your thoughts?
Do you want me to go first, or do you want to go first?
Yeah, you can go first. You can go first.
Okay. Well, I'm very glad that you mentioned that you think that the Bucks are the most complete team in the NBA, because the Milwaukee Bucks are going to win the NBA championship. I am riding out the Golden State will not win the title. I've said that since the beginning of the year.
Oh, no. You said the Warriors in 7. You said the Warriors in 7 at the beginning, so don't pretend like you. I'm cool with you picking the Bucks, but don't pretend like you didn't change this.
You know,
you said they were beatable, but you said they would win.
Okay. So yeah, I have the Milwaukee Bucks winning. I guess I'm changing my pick. So I'll rephrase. I've said that the Warriors are more beatable this year than they have ever been.
Yeah.
Since they added Kevin Durant.
Mm-hmm.
I think, but the big thing is if Brogdon comes back and continues to play well, he doesn't need, obviously I don't expect him to keep 50, 40, 90 in the playoffs where, defenses are a lot more in tune and, but, if Brogdon continues to play well, Chris Middleton keeps playing like the all-star, Brook Lopez really, really, really needs to make the Warriors pay when they go small. And that's one of the things, that the Warriors have, I don't want to say struggled with, but you look at, the only team to beat them in a series in the last 3 years or the last 4 years was the Cavs. And the Cavs did that because Tristan Thompson was able to make them pay by going small and getting offensive rebounds. And they slowed the pace way down. And I think coaching-wise, I think Budenholzer is a better coach than Steve Kerr.
Okay.
I think Steve Kerr, don't get me wrong, Steve Kerr is a good NBA coach.
Yeah.
But I think he gets carried a little bit by, saying, here, let me put 5 all-stars on the floor. And so I think Budenholzer is smart enough to be able to recognize that we need to slow it down. It needs to be a physical game. If you're physical with Steph, that Steph doesn't like that. Steph doesn't like that. And he's really he's had a quiet playoffs up until second half against Houston in Game 6. But man, it's hard to pick against. But I'm gonna do it. I'm gonna say Bucks in 7 because they have home court advantage, I believe. Correct?
They do.
Okay. I'm gonna say Bucks in 7. I'm gonna say Giannis is too much. I'm gonna say Brook Lopez has a big impact, and then the other two of Middleton and Brogdon have a big impact.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
And I think coaching slightly goes to the Bucks as well.
Okay. All right, Hayden. The reason why I said I don't want you to get away with flipping your pick is so I wouldn't be the only person who's flipping my pick. I'm picking the Milwaukee Bucks. And I mean, I feel like I'm going to sound like a broken record repeating a lot of things that you said, but I don't know. I don't think there's anybody on the Bucks, or excuse me, on the Warriors who will be able to stop Giannis in the paint. And the Warriors are obviously a great offense. They have been ever since even before they got Kevin Durant, and they're more offensively dominant now. But we've seen teams stick with them the entire playoffs, and I don't think that's going to stop with Milwaukee, especially with Milwaukee being one of the better defensive teams statistically in the NBA, and especially when Malcolm Brogdon gets back. And so I think that he could cause some problems, maybe for I don't know who they put him on, but maybe either Kawhi or not Kawhi, Klay Thompson or Steph Curry. Eric Bledsoe, I think he could do a solid. I mean, he doesn't need to be great against either of them, but he needs to be good enough.
I forgot about freaking Eric Bledsoe.
Yeah, look, I was looking at the numbers, and they have 6 players who averaged over 10 points this season, or 11 really, and I mean, that's not very normal for really most teams. Most teams have like 3, 4, maybe 5, if we're getting crazy. But you got Giannis with 27.7, Chris Middleton at 18.3, Eric Bledsoe's their third best in terms of scoring with 15.9, and then Malcolm Brogdon is at 15.6. And those latter 3, like I've said, they're a very underrated supporting cast not anymore really. Just no one pinpoints them exactly. Yeah. And so I think that, like I said, with them being the most balanced team in the league, and that's just offensively. I think defensively they're also one of the better teams in the league. I think that they're going to have trouble containing Giannis, and I think that I think Giannis is going to solidify himself as maybe we might be hearing. I'm not saying that I believe it, but we might hear a lot about him as the best player in the league when the offseason starts.
I mean,
and it's fair.
I agree. You got to be in the playoffs. I agree.
Yeah. So if he carries his team to the first up, actually, this is a separate discussion in its own, but if Giannis took his team to the finals and beat the Warriors, where do you think that ranks in terms of a player putting the team on his back and winning the finals?
I don't know if I'd go that far because, I think if you don't watch basketball, you would be like, oh, he carried a bunch of bums to the finals.
Yeah, of course.
But you go, and I mean, like you said, Chris Middleton's an all-star. I just think they're so deep. They don't really have a weakness because Giannis's weakness is shooting, but then you surround him with 4 shooters.
Yeah.
So, I don't know. I think I'm probably a little biased. Because I don't know. I think it depends also how the series goes.
Yeah,
if it goes to 7 and they're all close and you have guys around Giannis are making big plays.
Yeah.
I don't think you could really say that, Giannis put them on his back and got them there. Obviously, he's the big reason why that, of course, don't get me wrong. I completely agree with what you said about if we are having this conversation in, August, we could be talking about Giannis as the best player in the NBA.
Yeah,
100%. But yeah, I think it also, like I said, it just depends how the series goes for me, I think.
That's fair. I think that while I acknowledge that he has a lot of help on his team, I think everyone needs to have help in order to win a championship. But we're also in an era where it seems as though you need two superstars or one superstar and a bunch of all-stars. And really, as far as all-stars go, it's really just Chris Middleton, and everyone else is really good. And so I would consider him to be the guy carrying them for the most part, although that's not to say that he doesn't have help. It's not like when LeBron carried the what was it, the 07? Yeah, Cavaliers to the finals, and he really had no help. I think that it could be compared to, it might even be better. I would maybe say it would be better. I'm not exactly sure yet, than when Dirk won the finals with good players on his team, but not elite players on his team.
See, I value Dirk's higher than
That's fair. I think Chris Middleton's probably better than Jason Terry and.
Well, who do you count as the second best player on that Mavericks team?
Yeah, that's fair. I've had this discussion with other people, and I have one friend. I hope he watches this. He keeps saying that, oh, that team was loaded. He keeps saying that you had Sean Marion, you had Jason Kidd, and I'm just like, Jason Kidd was 37.
Yeah, that's
Marion was, I think he was 32 when he was
well past. Yeah,
he wasn't shooting, threes. Sean Marion, he wasn't even hardly posting up. He was I'm going to get the easy buckets, Sean Marion, and play good defense. Then this guy mentions Peja Stojakovic. That's a joke. Peja wasn't even he was big in one of the games in the playoffs against the Lakers. So that's fair. I think Dirk's ability.
I would value Dirk's higher.
Okay, that's fair. That's fair.
Yeah.
Yeah. Cool. Well, also sticking with the playoff trend, I know we have. Yesterday we saw the Nuggets up by double digits. I think they were up by as much as 17, 18, something in that range, and they ended up losing to the Trailblazers, who we just talked about earlier. And so, my question is, the Nuggets, they have a lot of youth, but do you think that they're built to win a championship in really now or the future? I guess it has to be the future because they're out, but do you think that they're built to win a championship?
I really would love to say yes, because I love Jokic. I think we've talked about on here before. I think you and Ian have Embiid as the best big man. I have Jokic. I love Jamal Murray. I know a lot of people are kind of up and down on him. I really think he's had a really good year, and he had a really good playoffs until yesterday.
Yeah.
And, if Michael Porter can ever develop into anything, because he didn't play at all this year. Mm-hmm. So I just saw a thing, I think it was this morning, he's getting ready to play in the summer league. So I think if he can tap into any of his potential that he had even coming out of high school, I think they could be a very good team. Do I think that I don't know. I think it depends how the rest of the NBA kind of develops. If we keep seeing, would they beat like a Kyrie, Kevin Durant, Zion team? No, I don't think so. But let's say Kevin Durant goes to the Knicks. Let's say Kyrie goes to Brooklyn. Things kind of spread out. Clay leaves for who knows where. But, then I think, yes, they could have a chance to Because, like you said, I think they're definitely the youngest team in the playoffs this year.
Yeah, they're pretty young.
Well, in the West, at least.
Yeah, absolutely.
Because most of Utah has Donovan Mitchell, but they have a lot of veterans on that team too.
Yeah.
So I think if they continue to develop the right way, then yes, potentially. But I think things have to spread out more for them to have a chance, unless Jamal Murray or Michael Porter develops into like another star like Jokic.
Okay. Yeah, I tend to think no. I have a hard time seeing them winning a championship, and I mean, it could be premature, but what I think is, it's hard to see a team winning a championship when we haven't seen a team with their best player being a big man win a championship in a while. It might have been since Dirk was the champion in 2011, and before then, it might have been since Shaq or Tim Duncan, but we're in a different era now, and it seems like that will be a hard thing for them to pull off. But they do have guard play that is really solid. I know that, we're both pretty big on Jamal Murray, and he has a few more seasons before he's a free agent and gets paid. Then you have Gary Harris, who is pretty solid. I don't say he's great or anything, but he's pretty good. He's paid a moderate amount of money. I think that as far as cap goes, Paul Millsap, I think, is eating too much of their cap right now, but that might change in a few seasons. Might change even in 2019. Is he a free agent this year?
I think he's a restricted free agent.
He might have an option on his.
Yeah, something like that.
Yeah, so we'll see where that goes. But if they were able to clear up space to get a max player, I wouldn't necessarily go that far. But if they were able to clear up some space and get someone who could contribute and make them better, I still have a hard time seeing it, just because Denver is not necessarily as good of a city as it is. It's not the the Lakers type of city, or going to New York, or even Houston.
It's not a big time free agent,
Yeah, you don't see free agents go to Denver too much. But of course, when teams are winning, I know that there have been teams that have even linked themselves to Milwaukee. And so when stuff like that's happening, it's possible, but I just don't see Denver putting the pieces around them. I think that it's really going to depend on the development of Jamal Murray. If he can solidify himself as an all-star, or even higher than that, then I think that they might have a chance. But I don't think that Jamal Murray. I think he's really good right now. I think he's close. I guess maybe close to his peak. But he's been in the league 3 seasons. He's gotten better each season. I guess that maybe that's not fair to say. I don't know that he's close to his peak yet, but he's going to have to work a lot harder to develop at this point, because he's been in the league 3 seasons. We've kind of seen what he can do. And so we'll see if he can develop more or not, but I think that it's really going to hinge on him and how far he can take his game up. But I lean towards no, and most of that, as much as I love Jokic, and I think that you have a great point that he might be the best center in the league, I'm hesitant to say that a center-led team can carry their team to a championship, if you will.
I agree.
Yeah. So I don't know. How good do you think Jamal Murray could be?
I think I want to say he has, CJ McCollum type ceiling. But like a different type of game.
Mm-hmm.
Like, he works well off the ball, but, he also is very good running those pick and pops with Jokic when he has the ball. So I just think, but I think, if this is as good as we ever see him get, which I also do think is a possibility, because, he's never going to be he's never going to be a great defender. Potentially, he could be a solid defender.
Yeah.
But I think he puts too much of his emphasis into offense. So I think he could be an all-star. Okay. I don't know if he could ever get to the point where they need him to in order for them to win a championship. If it's just him and Jokic.
Yeah. Yeah, I think that as far as Jamal Murray goes, I think I agree. I think CJ McCollum's actually a great comparison as far as ceilings go. And CJ McCollum a few seasons ago was averaging 23. I think that's an appropriate, future. I think that Jamal Murray could develop himself into that 22, 23 points per game type of guy. I don't think that he's going to be the type of guy who can carry the load for his team all the time, but I do think that he can be a very, very good all-star type of scorer on the team. I completely agree with you. Out of college, he wasn't known to be a great defender, and he still isn't a great defender. I don't think that that's going to develop too much, but offensively, I think that you could add maybe 5 points, to where he is now, and I think that that's what I could see him reasonably reaching. Maybe 24. I don't know, somewhere in that range.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think he could be good. But other guards that we have to talk about, there's Kyrie Irving, who's been linked to possibly looking back at Los Angeles. I know that's something. I'm guessing that really satisfies you. I'm sure that really, really makes you happy as a LeBron fan, and I think it's kind of funny personally. But a lot of people are starting to question whether Kyrie, I think when he went to the Celtics, people thought, okay, he could be a superstar. He could, put a team on his back, or even maybe not put a team on his back, but share the load with somebody who can. And what do you think about, is he a superstar, and where do you think he should go?
As a LeBron guy, I took a lot of heat from people inside our friend group. I'm sure you texted me about the trade. I know Josh and Ian did. And, a lot of people were very negative on LeBron. Oh, people don't want to play with LeBron. Kyrie said, oh, I'm too good to play with you. And so Kyrie went to Boston, was traded to Boston. Had a pretty good first year there, then got hurt. Mm-hmm. Those knees continue to bother him. And then, had a lot of people expected them to win like 65 to 67 games this year. I mean, they were projected to be the top team in the East coming into the year. And Kyrie was probably the major part of that, but I think also, I don't think it's all on Kyrie either, because I think a lot of the role players didn't really adjust well to not having the ball in their hand as much. But that's getting off the Kyrie topic. So I think Kyrie is a great player, but I don't think he's a superstar. Okay. I don't know if he can ever be the number one option on a championship team. And I said that when he left. He doesn't do all the super little things that you have to do in order to, elevate everyone else to get to the point where you are. Obviously, he's a great offensive player. He improved defensively in Boston under Brad Stevens for sure, because when he left Cleveland, you know, he could have, on some nights you would see him really be a good defender.
Yeah.
And then other nights it seemed like he didn't want to play defense. So, you know, I think he's improved, but I think it's hilarious that after, you know, all the dragging through the mud, I don't know necessarily that he really did that, but more the people around him and the media kind of dragged LeBron through the mud. You know, I think it's hilarious that Kyrie, even in the middle of the season when he called LeBron and apologized.
Yeah.
I loved that. I thought that was awesome. And I think it's even funnier that he's thinking about coming back to the Lakers to team up with LeBron again. Coming home to daddy. So yeah, that's my take on Kyrie.
Okay. Do you think he should go back to Los Angeles? Or
if he wants to win a championship, I think his best place, well, if he has a commitment from KD about going to New York, then I think, you know, and they're able to get Zion, obviously that team is better than the Laker team.
Yeah.
Just because, you know, I guess you could put LeBron and KD kind of on the same level, and the Lakers have no one on their team that is at Kyrie's level yet.
Yeah.
But, yeah, I think if he wants to win a championship, he needs to go to the Knicks and make sure that Durant follows him, or to the Lakers. Because I think his other team was Brooklyn, and I just, you know, in order for them to do that, they would have to let D'Angelo Russell walk. So then you have Kyrie and, you know, a bunch of solid players.
Yeah, I don't know if Brooklyn has enough to be able to get two max players like New York can.
No, I don't think so. I think because I was on, I think it was Team Stream reading about where Kyrie should go, and in order for them to sign Kyrie to a max, which I'm sure he'll get, they have to let D'Angelo Russell walk because he's a restricted free agent this year.
Okay. Yeah, I'm actually with you. I don't think that Boston and their, I guess, underperformance this season, I don't think that was necessarily on Kyrie, and I think that he's getting a lot of the heat just because he was the face of the Celtics. But I think that we saw last season, Boston was the number one seed before he got injured, and they were doing really well. They probably, if we're just being completely honest, they probably would have made it to the Eastern Conference or to the finals. And so I think that it's a bit odd to see them play so much worse this season with the emergence of Jason Tatum, you know, with the same Jaylen Brown, with the same bench, and plus Gordon Hayward. But I think that Gordon Hayward reemergence and him getting back in but not being fully healthy, I think that might have been a huge part as to why they struggled so much. I think that he was fed the ball a good amount, especially with Brad Stevens having a strong relationship with him from Butler. But I don't think that that was good for the team necessarily. I think that might have messed with the chemistry a little bit. And I also think that Tatum struggles to play off of the ball. I think that he stands around the perimeter a little bit too much. But I think that if you get rid of Kyrie and give the ball to Tatum a little more, they might be maybe not as good, but around as good. I think that they still have a bright future with him as the primary handler of the ball. But as an off-ball player, I struggle to see him as the guy. But that being said, I think that Kyrie could stay with the Celtics and remain successful. I think that they just need to work some things out and maybe lessen the role of Gordon Hayward. I don't think that's going to happen, though. I think that it seems like he's probably going to go to either New York or the Lakers. I think that the Lakers would be a good fit for him. I think that I would classify Kyrie as an elite sidekick or an elite co-star in the NBA. I'd say he's an elite co-star and a better sidekick. He was a sidekick for the Cavs, but I think that if he was a co-star with Kevin Durant, I think that they could win a championship, especially if you put Zion Williamson in there.
I agree.
But the question is, will they get the number one overall pick? They have the highest chances with two other teams, but the lottery is a lot more flattened this year in terms of percentages. So there's a good chance they don't. And I personally hope they don't because I'm tired of seeing the star-dominant teams load up. But I think that the Knicks would probably be a good fit for him. Him and Kevin Durant, I think, would make good teammates. Especially Kevin Durant, I think one of the things that's underrated about him is that he is a phenomenal teammate and a distributor of the ball. Maybe not as in terms of assists, but in terms of letting the offense flow, he's great at that, and he's been great at that. And so I think that if you put him and Kyrie together, I think that's a good matchup or a good partnership. And I think that as much as I kind of want to go against the grain, everyone's kind of saying the Knicks. I think the Knicks are probably the best spot for him. I don't think the Nets make much sense personally, but I know that that's kind of a hometown team for him. So if he wants to go there, I wouldn't blame him. I think that it would be a little – I don't think it would go anywhere. But I'm with you on that. I think that the Knicks probably make the most sense. The Lakers do make sense. We've seen LeBron and Kyrie accomplish things before, and if Kevin Durant leaves, then we might see them even rise closer to the top of the West. So that's really where I stand as far as that. I think Kyrie probably is best suited being an elite co-star with Kevin Durant in New York, and I'm personally expecting that to happen, but we'll see.
Mm-hmm.
See. So.
I agree.
Yep. Well,
Woo!
Everyone who was listening, I appreciate you listening to us. Tomorrow we have the start of the conference finals, and we also have a branch into the off season for all the teams that haven't had much to talk about. We have the lottery coming up tomorrow, and so hopefully the Mavs get one of those top 4 picks. I'll be happy, but we'll see. So thank you to anyone who's been listening. We'll be back.
He is back tomorrow.
Yeah, I don't know if we'll do one in the next few days here, but when we do one, we'll have a lot more to talk about, and hopefully we just hopefully you can join us. So thank you to anyone who's been listening, and we'll see y'all later.